Welcome back to Wrestling with Politics. I'm your host Joel Perez, and today we're going to be discussing one of the most outrageous pieces of Israeli propaganda that I've seen in quite some time. As we all know, there's been an ongoing ceasefire deal going on between Israel and Hamas, and they've been exchanging hostages, but Israel, they've been looking for any excuse to break this ceasefire deal and to continue bombing the Palestinian population. And so in order to do that, in order to get away with that, Israel, they're going to have to brainwash their population in some kind of way and convince them to support the ongoing bloodshed and the ongoing genocide of the Palestinian people. And in order to do that, they're going to have to come and accuse the Palestinians of some of the most dastardly crimes, and that's exactly what they're doing here. And at the beginning of the war, the justification to continue this genocide was the bloody attack on Israel on, you guessed it, October 7th. And so the justification was that because of this bloody attack, now Israel has the right to go in and do whatever they please to Gaza and do things that are just as horrible as October 7th to the Palestinians. But now it's been a year since October 7th, and more information has come out, and we've learned that on October 7th, Israel unleashed something called the Hannibal directive, which allowed maximum force by the Israeli military and ordered that anybody returning to Gaza, Israeli or Palestinian, be taken out regardless of the consequences. And on that day, on October 7th, there were Israeli hostages being taken into Gaza by Hamas, and Israel ordered its attack helicopters to unleash maximum capacity anyways. And that resulted in the deaths on October 7th of dozens, if not hundreds of Israelis at the hands of their own military.
The footage we're looking at here, which I find very disturbing. We have a lot of people here making their way back through the breach in the wire back into Gaza. We cannot tell whether they're Hamas gunmen or civilians or possibly hostages. And I don't believe the helicopter pilot or the machine gun operator would be able to tell either.
נוהל חניבל הוא נוהל בלתי פורמלי, שאומרת, אוקיי, עדיף לנו שהחייל ייהרג ושלא ייתפס חי.
So Israel is no stranger to killing its own people in order to accomplish its genocidal goals. And that's exactly what happened in the case we're going to be discussing today. Despite the fact that according to the official numbers, since the beginning of this war on October 7th, Israel has killed around 20,000 Palestinian children, Israel is now coming out and crying wolf over the fact that Hamas has returned to them 2 dead Israeli children. And listen, I want to make it very clear here, not a single child should be dying in this war. When any child dies in this war, it's a massive tragedy. But nobody should be dying in this war. And that's exactly why we've been calling for a ceasefire deal and a peace deal since this war began. But listen, I want to make another thing very clear, and that's the fact that the people who have absolutely no room to speak are those who have been silent, or even worse than that, those who have been cheering while thousands of Palestinian children have been getting killed. And now those same people, they want to come out and act all outraged that these children are dead just because they're Israeli. Listen, you should be outraged when a child dies, whether they're Israeli or they're Palestinian. You should be outraged when any child dies. So to be outraged here, just because these children are dead, just because they're Israeli, it's as hypocritical as it gets. And it needs to be made clear here exactly what happened to these two children, because the official narrative is that these two children were murdered under Hamas captivity. And while that might be the narrative that the Israeli propaganda machine wants you to focus on, the reality is that, like everything these Zionists say, it's just another lie designed to get you to support a genocide. And newsflash, nothing will ever justify this genocide. Nothing will ever justify the eradication of an entire group of people. And Israel reveals here that this was never about eliminating Hamas. This was never about rescuing the hostages. This was about eliminating Palestine and eliminating this entire group of people. Because according to the father of these two children himself, these children were not killed by Hamas. These children were killed by an Israeli airstrike during the indiscriminate and illegal bombing of the Gaza Strip.
ביבי, הפצצת את המשפחה שלי, הרגת לי את האישה, את הילדים שלי, כל מה שהיה לי בחיים. המלך תחזיר אותי לאותם הביתה, שיקבעו בישראל. אני מתחנן אליך, תחזיר אותי שתשתשת את הילדים שלי הביתה. בבקשה, מתחנן אליך.
And so this just goes to show, Israel doesn't care if they have to kill their own people, their own children in order to carry out their genocidal goals. And even worse than that is that these children, they're now being used as Israeli propaganda to justify the massacre of even more children and to justify the continuation of this genocide. It truly doesn't get any more depraved than this. If anything, what this should inspire is motivation to stop this endless cycle of violence, to stop the killing. Doesn't anybody see what's at stake here? If this continues, the literal lives of our children are on the line. And it should matter when any child dies, Israeli or Palestinian. The real solution here is to stop the fighting, stop the bloodshed, and to live amongst each other in peace, somewhere where everybody has equal rights. But if you do even a little bit of research into the Zionist state of Israel and its leaders like Bibi Netanyahu, you quickly realize that peace is the exact opposite of what they want to create. Bibi Netanyahu, he doesn't care to destroy the entire state of Palestine, and if he has to kill every Palestinian who's ever stepped foot on that soil, he'll do exactly that. And it doesn't matter if he has to kill 10,000 Israelis in the crossfire. He can just blame it on Hamas. And that's exactly the problem here. Israel killed two of its own children, and I believe they killed the mother as well, and it's no surprise that this happened here. Israel literally bombed 92% of Gaza. They destroyed the whole thing. They flattened the entire area and there's nothing left of Gaza. And so if there was any genuine attempt to rescue these hostages, why would you put these hostages in such dangerous conditions? Why would you put them in the crossfires of all these bombs and all of this destruction? Well, the answer is there was no genuine attempt to rescue these hostages. It was more important to eliminate Hamas, and they couldn't even accomplish that. Hamas is still right there. So Israel, they have completely failed in this war. They have been completely ineffective and completely useless, but we already knew that. The big problem here is that Israel, they have full control of the United States, and they've completely bought off all of our politicians who want to sell us on this idea that Israel is our best friend and our greatest ally. But I just want to make it clear here, and I want to make this the final message in our video. Israel is not our greatest ally. Israel is the greatest threat to the existence of the United States and its people since World War II. And failure to recognize that fact will lead to the downfall of the US empire as we know it. Now that's what I think. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Do you think Israel is justified in its approach to this conflict? Or do you think that Hamas deserve what's coming to it? And if you want to see more from Wrestling with Politics, you can make sure to check out our last video talking about Donald Trump, who decided to put America last and Israel first. If you want to see more and support Wrestling with Politics, you can also make sure to like on this video, share this content, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. That's all for now, but I can guarantee you that we'll see you all very, very soon. Thank you so much for watching this video.